Hello my crafty friends, welcome to my channel. It's Nadia here and I'm happy to show you today the third part of my tutorial on how to make this type of album. Uh, I plan to show you two things today. One of them is how to make this construction, which is on the front cover, inside of my front cover. It is this is my favorite part, the unfolding map. We're not going to make it today because I will make a similar construction when I decorate my pages with paper. But today we will make the construction itself. This one. And also, well, as you remember, we already made the base of each page, and we made some tags, but we didn't make the tags which go into the pockets in this flap, like this tag. And well, they're actually they're the same size. They're the same in each pocket there. So we'll make, or I will tell you how to make these tags. Okay, we'll start with the tags. If you, well, I'm sure you remember, we used 4 pages or 4 pieces of cardstock, full sheets of cardstock of A4 size for each of the pages in this album. 2 pieces were used for the front and back, 1 piece for the tags, and 1 piece for small tag and this flap. So 4 pieces of cardstock for each page. But also we used some strips of cardstock to make the hinges that go inside the page construction to hold together the front and back side. And when I was cutting those strips, they're 1 inch wide, I didn't use just one piece of A4 cardstock. I instead used 3 sheets of cardstock and cut off strips from those 3 sheets. So I cut 3 strips from 1 piece of cardstock, 3 strips 1 inch wide from another one, and 4 strips of cardstock from the third piece. And this is what I have left of those sheets of cardstock. If you make 6 pages, in this new album I make 5 pages, so I needed 10 1 inch strips to make the hinges. But if you make 6 6 pages, then you will need 12 strips of cardstock, and I would cut 4 from each of the sheets. Why I did it that way? Because it reduces the amount of leftovers or waste from the page or from the pieces of cardstock, and these leftovers can be used easily to make these tags. If you look at it, and these tags, I took 2 on purpose, you can see that they perfectly fit on those leftover pieces. And if I cut them in half, if I cut this piece in half, I will get 2 strips and then fold and make the pocket, and I will get 2 tags out of 1 piece like that. I need 5 tags like that because I have 5 pages in my new album. I'm not going to make everything right now. I will show you that, well, this side is traditionally 8 1/4, and this side is a bit larger, but I just measure it and cut it in half. And, well, let's do that. It is 8 and a little bit more than a half. Well, if you use American cardstock, it will be easier because it will be exactly 8 inches wide. So you cut it in half, you will get 2 pieces 4 inches wide. But with the European cardstock A4 size, this is a bit longer. But it's not a problem. I'll get my paper trimmer. I'll just cut it. It's 4 1/4. That will be a bit less. Well, I'll make it roughly a little bit wider. Okay. So I got 2 pieces. Yeah, it's pretty close. How I decide which size of the pocket to make. If you look at the back side, you probably recognize the embossing. These are the embossing folders by Sizzix. And I have 6 tags, and they are all embossed by different embossing folders. You can, if you want to do the embossing on the back side of the tag, you can just do the embossing, and then the rest of the strip just score and fold it to the other side, and you will get a tag like that. If you don't want to do the embossing, you can fold it any way you like. You can fold it in half, or you can fold 1/3, or in any proportion that you prefer. I want to pay your attention to one thing, that this piece of paper that I glued on the pocket, this is a pocket, yeah, it is 2 inches, I mean the paper is 2 inches wide. If you can see, it is 2 inches wide. And whenever possible, I always, and when I have to decorate something with strips of paper, I try to make them of such size which is easy to measure and easy to cut. So either 1 inch wide or 2 inches wide, and in this case it is 2 inches wide, and that just makes my life easier when I cut the paper for decoration. So when I well, let's do it right now. I'll take my scoring board. So if I want to have 2 inches wide strip of paper on my pocket, I need to have this cardstock 2 1/4 inches wide. So 2 1/4. I score it and fold it. It's easy. Well, it's a bit longer. I think I trimmed the my tag when I embossed it. So, but it's it can be any size you want it to be. So that's all about these tags. I will not make all of them right now. I will do that later, so I won't take too much of your time on that. And now we'll get back to the construction in the inside part of the cover. It's pretty easy to make. It's a very simple construction, and I will measure to you the width of this construction. and it is, surprise, surprise, 8 1/4. So it's easy to guess that I used again my A4 cardstock as the base for this construction. Well, you remember that this is the size of my square pages, but the cover is, I always make my covers a bit larger than the pages, so they would the covers would give more protection for the album, so they would be wider and taller and would protect the album better. So I have enough room in this inside side of the cover, so I can make this this construction as large as I want. So it is 8 1/4 inches wide, and in my case it is 7 1/2 inches tall. But you can make it shorter or even taller or larger, smaller, it's up to you. But I would of course recommend keep the width of this construction the same size as you have your A4 cardstock. So what we do next, I take this piece of cardstock, I'll put aside my album, I get my paper trimmer and cut it in half. It is 8 1/4 inches wide, so the half would be 4 1/8 of an inch. If you use American letter size, the half would be 4 1/4. In my case, it's 4 1/8 of an inch. Okay, and I cut it into two pieces, two identical pieces. In this construction, I have 4 flaps. Two, let me move it a little bit. Two longer ones, these two, and two shorter ones. The shorter ones may look like they're square. In fact, they're not, but in my new album, I want to make them square, these shorter flaps, and the rest of the strip will go for the longer flap. So to make the square, well, in my case it is 4 1/8 of an inch this side, so the other side should be also 4 1/8 of an inch. I score it here. If your side is 4 1/4, then you score it 4 1/4 here to make it, if you want to make it a square flap. So, and the same with the second piece, 4 1/8 of an inch. Fold it here and here. Now I will get it into my paper trimmer, and I need about 1/2 inch strip here, piece here, so I would have a flap or hinge to attach this flap to my construction. So I need about 1/2 inch. So it's 4 1/8 3/4 plus 1/2 inch, like that. Or I won't make it 1/2 inch, I will make it, yeah, like that, 4.5. And I cut it. So you see, I have this small piece that will go onto the main construction, and we'll keep this flap. And I'll do the same here as well. 4.5. And I cut. I have these 2 flaps. Now I will make from these 2 pieces, I will also make the, I don't need my trimmer, I will make the longer flaps from that construction. For that, I just need to score, let's see, so crooked. To score 1/2 inch piece on one side and 1/2 inch on another piece. So this will be my longer flaps. Now we need the base for this construction. Well, that's actually easy. I just take another piece of A4 cardstock. You remember that it is 8.25 by 7.5. And I take my paper trimmer and 8.25 stays the same, and I cut 7.5 inches from this piece of cardstock. 7.5. So this is the base of the construction. 2 long flaps will go, one on top and one at the bottom. They will go like that. And 2 square ones will go on the opposite sides. It will be like this. And I also have a piece of cardstock left, which can be used for decoration here on this side. It will close like that. I will put magnets in this construction when I attach when I glue the paper to it. And it will close here and close here. So it's easy. Here in my album, I have this nice element, the film strip over here. In my new album, I'm not going to make the same film strip because, like I said in my previous part of the tutorial, I don't want to introduce the black color into this paper collection. I don't want to use black with it. So, and the film strip is supposed to be black, so I'm not going to use this decorative element, but I will use something else instead. If I were making the film strip, I would definitely use this piece of cardstock that I cut off from the base of this construction piece, and I would turn it into the film strip. But I will think of something else, something interesting, and something that would be consistent with the rest of the album. Maybe something with circles, because I have the circle border all through the album. But I will think of something. In case you are interested how I made this film strip, and in case you want to make it in your albums, I will tell you in just a few words how I made this piece. I have a binder, cinch binder, which makes square holes. I know there is also a binded wall binding machine, which also makes not square but rectangular holes. And there are, of course, other cinch binders which make round holes, but round holes are not suitable for the papers, for the film strip. I used my cinch binder to punch square holes along both long sides of such a piece of cardstock. Then, so it would look like a film strip. Then I took a file folder, pocket file folder, which I used for making pocket letters, and I cut off the narrow strip of 2 pockets. You see, they are just the perfect size, 2 pockets, and they're actually pockets, so something can go into them. And I measured the size, and with my craft knife I just cut out the rectangular shapes that would be like windows for those pockets, leaving of course the narrow strip in between, so it would really look like the film strip. And then I just glued, well, you remember that I cut off this strip, and then I glued the prepared piece that looked like the film strip on top, and placed it in my album. So it now has these pockets here that 2 small photographs can go there. You see, it fits perfectly. Well, it looks really cool, I think. But I will think of something else, something that would be also great looking, that would be placed in my new construction, my new album. And of course I will make some unfolding thing with the paper when I decorate my album with paper. Okay, I think this is all for today. I thank you again for spending this time with me. I appreciate it very much, and I hope it was interesting, it was useful, instructive, and that you will come again to watch my following tutorials and the following parts of this particular tutorial. So thank you again, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.